Hi everyone, my name is Vishwa Trivedi and welcome to my presentation titled Behind the Screens How Esports Culture Shapes Substance Use. Today, I am taking a cultural approach to understanding why substance use, things like caffeine, adrenaline, energy drinks, nootropics, feels so common in the esports world, right? Instead of focusing on biology or rules, I'll be exploring deeper on cultural forces that shape players' behavior. My goal is to show that substance use in esports is not just a personal choice, it's the product of a much larger system, expectations, pressures, and online norms. Moving further, there is a core question. Why does substance use feel normalized in esports? There are some of the key factors. A lot of conversations focus on should players be taking stimulants, but a better question again is why does the culture make it feel normal in the first place? In esports, substance use doesn't come out of nowhere. It grows out of intense competition, long hours, performance pressure, and community expectations. These cultural forces combined make stimulants feel like tools for survival rather than risky choices. This presentation dives into these cultural forces one by one. Now, so here is an overview. To understand the issue, we first need to understand esports culture. Unlike traditional sports, esports is always online, highly competitive, dominant by young players, community driven, and built around extreme commitments. Many players grow in gaming communities where the training for hours a day is normal. The cultural reward performance, quick reflexes, and constant improvement. So, sleep is optional and grinding is mandatory. That's we all go for, correct? One of the strongest cultural forces is the grind mentality. We all went through. From the player's perspective, many professional gamers practice like 10 to 14 hours a day. Homenstein and colleagues in 2017 found that the elite players train at levels comparable to Olympic athletes. But esports players often have fewer support systems, no coaches regulating breaks, and very little focus on recovery. So what happens then? Players compensate. They consume large amount of caffeine, energy drinks, or stimulant to stay alert. For many, it becomes less about getting ahead and more about simply staying functional. The grind mentality pushes players to sacrifice sleep and health, which makes the substance feel necessary tools rather than dangerous choices. Moving further, constant performance, endless content, and fear of another, streaming culture, and visibility pressure. So, next, streaming culture adds another layer of pressure. Today's esports isn't just an athlete, they are a performer, entertainer, and content creator. Johnson and Woodcock 2019 describes streaming as a visibility anxiety cycle. Players stop streaming, they risk losing their followers, sponsorship, and income. This pressure leads to steaming for long hours, leading to exhaustion, staying high energy for viewers, and avoiding breaks to maintain the algorithm visibility. To keep up, players often turn to stimulants to remain energetic and entertaining. The culture doesn't reward rest, it rewards constant visibility. That's we all need to understand. Like what are the main factors and what effects it has on us. Another thing is inside teams, culture matters just as much. Many teams practice late into the night to match tournament times. If a player is tired, the expectation is simple: figuring out and keep going. When everyone around you is consuming energy drinks or stimulant to stay focused, it stops feeling like a choice and you start feeling like it's a part of job. Even if no one says it directly, the pressure is there. Right? You don't know, you don't want to be there, but the team is dragging you down over there. This leads to normalized stimulant use in team environment. Again, another cultural issue is the esports structure organization. Yeah, some elite teams provide psychologists, nutritionists, and structured schedules, but many do not. Like traditional sports, there is no standardized system, rest periods, wellness policies, substance monitoring, required health staff. So players self-manage their training and health poorly. Of course, without safeguards, the culture defaults to whatever helps the performance, even if it's unhealthy. This lack of structure reinforcement unsafe habits. Mental health is another major factor. Esports players face performance anxiety, public criticism, unstable income, and fear of being replaced. Toxic online communities. A systematic review by Paulus at 2020 found that stress and anxiety are major predictors of burnout in esports. To cope, players often turn to stimulants to manage stress, stay awake, or push through overwhelming pressure. In a culture where burnout is seen almost as a badge of honor, substance use becomes a common but unhealthy coping mechanism. We are just at the end, to be honest. Substance use become normalized at influences the entire community. Like right, mature players, aspiring pros, and even young teens copy what they see professionals do. You can just take an example of Virat Kohli. He is like ambassador. He done it himself and he follows it strictly. So people do idolize him. So here the same thing goes as here. Like this trickle down culture leads to casual attitude towards energy drinks and stimulants, a belief that sleep is optional, culture where boosting your focus is seen as harmless, blurred boundaries between legal and illegal substances. Yeah, esports culture create a world where harmful habits are not questioned; they are expected. So, like there is a lot of cultural impact on the substance use, then we see it that. And we are just here to criticize. We are not here to understand, like we are the only ones putting pressure. Right? So, how do we fix this? We don't start by banning substances, we start by changing the culture. I mentioned before. Healthier esports environment would include recognizing rest and recovery is essential, supporting mental health with professionals, scheduling screens and streaming more sustainably, of course, encouraging transparency about fatigue, prioritizing long-term health. This culture shifts won't just reduce substance use, they will create more sustainable futures like esports as a whole, like a whole community. To conclude, substance use in esports isn't simply about individual making poor choices. It's deeply tied to a culture that rewards constant performance, endless visibility, and extreme commitment, where understand the cultural pressure, the grind mentality, streaming demands, peer norms, organiza- organizational gaps, and mental health challenges. We begin to see why stimulants feel so normal in esports world. By addressing this cultural roots, industry can move forward on the healthier norms that support players as human beings, not just as performers. Thank you for watching. My name is Vishwa. See you soon.